And Musica Intima has a concert coming up on May the 27th with some brand new work and some really interesting work as well. Andrew Balfour, who is a composer, has curated the music for this concert, which is called Nagamo. And it includes music of his from various different of his compositions, as well as some work he's been doing recently, translating Elizabethan music, Elizabethan motets, into First Nations languages. A really interesting exercise, too. I called Andrew Balfour to find out more about this project and asked him, first of all, to talk about the meaning for him of Nagamo.
It kind of reimagines history, what if type of thing. In the early 17th century, several esteemed chiefs and leaders and elders from Turtle Island, North America, traveled to England to form an alliance with the crown and the government. And they were actually treated quite well. The most famous example, I believe, was in 1607. Mohawk chiefs traveled to London and were treated as ambassadors. They were welcomed by the king. They went to go see a performance of Shakespeare's Macbeth, where they were seated on stage. They went to go see a concert by Henry Purcell. They got their official portraits taken, which is a great honor. And there seemed at the time to be a hope that this would be continued, but of course it wasn't. Very quickly turned badly for the first peoples of then the New World. And so I've curated a concert which features early music from the Elizabethan times, but changed the context of everything in terms of I've changed the languages into Ojibwe and Cree. I am Cree. My background's Cree. I'm a 60s scooper, so I don't know my language that well. And I didn't translate the text because most of these texts are sacred. I've actually used some of the indigenous teachings, like the Four Directions and the healing circles, as part of this concert. So I love early music. I've always loved early music as a choir boy. I'm in the Anglican church. But I felt it was a time to reimagine history and to sort of change the context, but keeping the beauty of the music, which Musica Intima does so well.
What was it like for you working through some of this early music, some of the motets, for example, and changing the language? How did that feel?
It felt really strange at first because I know a lot of this music so well in the original Latin. And I did not want to change the music. I love the music. But surprisingly, I felt, going through it fit, and sometimes perfectly. It was almost meant to be in some ways, like in terms of I didn't have to change the music that much to fit the language or vice versa. So it's a very different context, but I felt this an important step in terms of understanding the relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, particularly in the choral world. So I felt actually invigorated by going through this. And whether it's William Byrd, who was the best-known composer from the Elizabethan age, or later on in the Baroque period, Henry Purcell, I felt really, really like it opened up a new door for me and actually helped me appreciate the music a lot more, going through note by note and figuring out where the Ojibwe or Cree would fit. So it was very exciting to do this, and I'm really looking forward when we start rehearsals next Monday.
So how else does the story in this whole work unfold? It's
a real alliance. And I think that's important, and especially in these times of truth and reconciliation and calls to action, is to form an alliance. And I feel that the Musica Intima, as a choral ensemble and an organization and its allies, really get what I've really immediately envisioned. I've been talking about a project like this for years, and when I mentioned it to Jacob Grammett maybe 2 years ago, I saw the light bulb go over his head, and then he contacted me a year later and said, "I'd love to do this, and I'd like to have it part of the Musica Intima concert series." So, and I think that things are pretty advanced in a lot of ways in the West Coast in terms of relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities and organizations, and I'm happy that this is happening at this time, and particularly in the West Coast. And I'm originally from the Prairies, Treaty 1 territory, but I live in Toronto right now. So I feel that this establishing relationships with non-Indigenous groups that are very important, and it's the right way to go as we go forward, because there's a lot of healing to be done, and there's a lot of listening that needs to be done. And I really feel that we're along with our Indigenous artists that are going to be participating in this concert, our drummers and singers, along with Musica Intima, is very important.
Why is it important to you? I mean, you, as you say, you grew up in the Western musical tradition, the Anglican musical tradition, and early music. Why is it important to you to bring these two worlds together in that sense?
I think for me it's healing as well, because I think that so many Indigenous people have been hurt by the church and hurt by, I guess, organized religion in some ways, and we're certainly seeing that come to light now. I think that we need to heal. I don't want to go through anger. I don't want to be an angry person, so I feel this is my self-healing myself. I don't hate the church or this music. Certainly, I wouldn't be here without learning music through being a choir boy. So I guess this is some kind of almost like a personal reconciliation with myself and my relationship with non-Indigenous institutions. And the group I run in Winnipeg called Dead of Winter formed 25 years ago based on singing this music. So I think as I've grown older and got to talk more elders and understood ceremony and Indigenous traditions, I feel that there's a place for us to be able to have dialogue. And like I said, I don't do traditional song keeping. I actually am a classically trained musician, so I feel that I can bring some of the ideas that I've always wanted to on the table through choral music, and to be able to work with Musica Intima, one of the best choral ensembles in the country, is really thrilling. It's a kind of a dream project.
This is composer Andrew Balfour, and he's talking about this project. He was mentioning rehearsing. They're going to start rehearsing on Monday. Musica Intima, performing his work, a lot of his work based on the reinterpretation or rewording, I guess, of Elizabethan motets. It's happening on the 27th, coming up on the 27th of May at St. James Anglican Church in Vancouver. And you can find out more information by going to the Musica Intima website. And I have a piece of music here that was recorded last October. This is Musica Intima with one of Andrew Balfour's contemporary compositions. This is Musica Intima with part of a work by composer Andrew Balfour. It's titled Trapped in Stone. And Musica Intima performing this concert of music with Andrew Balfour coming up on the 27th of May. And part of this whole project, too, part of this Nagamo project is a piece of artwork commissioned from Sunny artist Sunny Asu, and that will be on display as well. Once again, just check out the Musica Intima website, and you can find out more about getting tickets and more about that concert.